Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I'm Mike Morales. You're watching Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com. I'm in San Antonio. That gentleman over there is.
Good night. I'm Rick Levy in San Diego.
It's nighttime where you are. I'm in Australia. No, I'm San Antonio, Texas. It's nighttime, not the middle of the night, but close to it. Rick and I, have been discussing, dissecting, and really thoroughly enjoying G4. This is Felipe Camarena's G4. Oh yeah, go ahead. What a show off. He's got a signed bottle. I got a signed label. You know what I mean? So we have really just taken a trip through this. When you think it can't get any better, he does. He just, if you probably at this point you may have seen our Terralta videos. That Terralta line is also Felipe's, completely different line for a completely different reason. And this line, we have come to the conclusion that this line, if we were going to introduce you or one of our best friends to Felipe Camarena and what he is capable of, we would probably choose G4 of the three lines that we've tasted this year from El Pandillo.
That's where we would start, but it's certainly not where we would stop.
No, no, God forbid. You have to do a whole month.
And again, this has been a trip through the highest growing region of Jalisco. Again, yes. Felipe's growing his own agaves right around his distillery, and they're growing them at about 6,800 feet, which is the highest you can find, probably.
Yeah. He, from what we know, this is a 50-50 blend of rainwater and distillation, along with his well water that he's well known for. What do we know? How long? Now we know it's an XA. They're legally, they don't have to tell us how long this is an XA. We know that it has to be 3 years or more. Do we know anything else?
That's what they're saying. They're saying 3 years, maybe more.
Well, so, judging from what we know about him and barrels, right? We know he uses ancient barrels.
Yeah.
He's not real fond of masking his tequilas as opposed to adding another layer of complexity.
He's not a barrelhead,
He's not.
He's the opposite of Enrique Fonseca.
Right. I mean,
so Enrique Fonseca is a genius when it comes to barrels, and he does. He adds amazing stuff to his juices by the way he manages his barrels. And with Felipe, it's the opposite. He's always focused on the agave.
Well, that's, as you can see, this is for an XA. That's real light. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that after, right at the end of 3 years, he's pulling this out of the barrel. By the way, all the expressions are 80 proof, 40 ABV. Unlike Terralta, where he had a couple of he had a 110 and a 55. He had a barrel.
Unless you were lucky enough, if you visit the distillery, you might be able to pick up a bottle of Felipe's single barrel proof. He had like a private barrel, and so there are some bottles out there that aficionados have from Felipe's private barrel that it's overproof.
You're killing me. You're killing me. Oh my God. I'm using my
general
line glass. Yeah, well, again, very light in color. This is not, not for oak heads. I mean, it's yeah, very light. And you're using the
I'm using an early prototype of the Jarrito that we've been reviewing for Romeo Ristov and Chisholm Trail and Stossel.
it's not tequila, it's perfume. I just
Oh.
want to just right here, my bowl, right here.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
it's perfumey. It is. Oh my goodness! It's a more amped up version of the añejo, which is
What you might
you know
expect.
yeah, but it's really just.
Yeah,
I think it's sweeter and spicier on the nose. Again, it's just a louder progression of the añejo.
Yeah.
But again, all of his expressions are toned down from what you would expect from an extra añejo. You'd expect this to be screaming at you, but it's really not. It's what most añejos are doing now. He's doing with this extra añejo. Wow. So we know we're getting more of the barrel spiciness, the sweet spiciness. I'm not getting any more baked fruit like I did with the añejo. At least not yet, anyway.
I might be picking up a little in the jarrito.
Okay. All right. I mean, chances are it's there. It's the same liquid that's just been pulled out of the barrel later than sooner. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now there it is. There's more alcohol also. I mean, I just broke the seal on this, so it's right where it belongs, at the bottom of the glass. So. Wow, that is lovely. But it's perfumey. It is more of the perfumey, spicy notes that I'm getting. What are you getting? What are you nosing? What's in there right now?
I'm trying to figure out if I'm getting a little bit of leather.
Normally we would get more leather and chocolate and cocoa in a charred barrel, as opposed to a toasted barrel, a much newer barrel. Let's put it that way. Because what we know he's using these ancient barrels. We don't know how ancient, but
yeah, I'm getting more of the barrel spice, certainly, and I think I probably am picking up some of the baked, starchy fruit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It could be my glass. This was a stemmed glass with more of a flared out balloon. I love this glass. Don't get me wrong. This is an expensive crystal, one of the finest crystals out there. And also, by the way, the jarritos are also crystal. My understanding is Stossel has some of the best crystal in the country when it comes to specific glassware. So they're comparable to whatever Riedel has put out. Or Glencairn, for that matter. I think they're on par with Glencairn as far as their glass, the quality of their glass. I've learned a lot doing the flavor tastings with the jarritos. It's been a real education. And Romeo, when I had a chance to interview Romeo for Open Bar, Romeo being the owner of Chisholm Trail, who has designed that jarrito, and is a fascinating man, really a nice guy. Rick has talked to him on the phone.
Yeah, he's got so much information. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's very much like talking to a master distiller, as someone who believes in the craft and who gets it. Mm-hmm. And what we're looking for is something that historically and archaeologically is more accurate for agave spirits, so that it belongs to Mexico. It belongs to the spirit of Mexico. So we'll see what happens with our notes and everybody else that's submitting notes to Romeo and Chisholm Trail. So we're hoping that you folks out there might be getting your first look at what an agave, a preferred agave, a preferred vessel for agave spirits. But I'm really enjoying it, the XA out of this glass.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of deep, really kind of luscious notes off of the Jarrito. And this is the
That's
this
the
is the
thicker base
widest. Yeah, it's the widest of the Jarritos too. It has a wider opening. It has a wider base. There's a lot of room to
diffuse and to swirl
diffuse.
around.
And you know, when we were doing the añejo, we were both using the Glencairn, but then I had to throw a splash into a Jarrito as well to kind of compare, because I was kind of missing that kind of deep, luscious kind of aroma that I'm getting off the Jarrito.
The tumblers were really a lot of fun to play with. You know, it was fun to experiment with them because we were easily pulling out stuff that I think in our heads, Rick and I are going, how did I miss that? You know, because it makes those glasses, those tumblers make things, you know, the better the glass, the easier it is to nose and to sample, because it makes it much more obvious to you. And then you're going in the back of your head, am I really just a novice, or how did I miss that? You know? So there's a lot to be said about good quality glassware to enhance your enjoyment of the spirit. If you're going to spend, you know, what do we talk about? If you're going to spend 50, 60, 70 bucks on a bottle, you may as well have a really nice crystal glass that you can enjoy it in, because don't you deserve it? You know?
Yeah. While we're talking price, the spread I found on the XA was
surprised me.
Was between 60 and 80. And
really?
Most of it was in the like the high 60s to 70 range. But right now at Old Town, it's on sale for $60.
Are you getting a commission from Z?
You would think. You would think. No.
I don't know. I'd say, you know what? This is misdirection. He's misdirecting you. He's going to go and pull cases just for Rick. Because at that price,
I pulled these prices off the website. And so, you know, anybody going to their website and placing an order right now, those are the prices that they would get.
Yeah, but if they're out of stock, it's because Rick has them for you. Contact Rick as ibootleg.com. No. Oh, it's just amplified sweetness from the añejo. I haven't tasted it yet, so I'm gonna taste it. Oh. Okay. Tell me I'm wrong. You're right. I wouldn't call it leather. I would call it tobacco.
Okay.
And on the back of the palate, I almost got like a licorice, almost like an ouzo, but a bitterness. You know, like a not so bitter like we've had before, like in the Blanco, like on the sides. I had more of it on the back end, and I would say more of the bitterness would be like tobacco. Probably not leather, but you know, I'll have to delve into it a little bit more. But it's on the back end. It's on the palate and the finish.
Still has nice pepper. You know, you definitely can taste the barrel spice. I'm not getting the vanilla anymore, I don't think. Not as prominently. It is that you know, kind of bitterness, I think, that you're describing. But I don't consider it a bad bitterness.
No. It's like when I say bitter, you know, there's bitter chocolate, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like a bitter chocolate, or maybe even a cacao or a cocoa, but not as sweet. You know, I got more of the bitter chocolate, more of the tobacco. You know, it's kind of going on that spectrum.
It's strange because in some aspects it seems a little bit sweeter than the añejo, but in terms of that bitterness, you know, that bitter quality is not sweet.
No, but it's nice. It's adding a nice balance to the sweetness. I think when you go as old,
I think the sweetness is probably coming more from like the baked starchy fruit.
Well, he's trying to find a balance. The nose is sweet, but on the back end, there's a little bitterness there, just to let you know you're alive. And I like that. He's playing with your palate. He has really just, it's amazing when master distillers go out to they look for a certain result, and then to see how gratifying it is for them that they've accomplished what they set out to do. I go back to Germán González and the way, what he did with Tears of Llorona and T1. He was looking for a certain effect, and he got it. He got it. And Felipe is like, his concentration for all three of these brands with different expressions. I don't know how he did it.
It's certainly a master.
There's really a lot of thought involved, and it's not something. These are tequilas that you cannot just gloss over. Don't do yourself a favor and don't gloss over them. Of the four, I would say that I would probably be able to find a comparable cigar to match with this, because I think the bitterness on the back end allows it to be paired with a cigar, not an aggressive cigar, because that's going to clash, but something I think along the same lines where it's parallel. It'll be a challenge, but it can be done. But I wouldn't do it with the Añejo. I would do it with this one. And again, just my personal opinion. But
again, if you're an oak head, it's probably not for you, because he has such a light touch with the barrel. This is not like the big, sweet, deep XAs that you might be used to.
Oh, wow! What a beautiful!
Absolutely lovely.
Wow! Again, Brand of Promise nominee in the legacy category of extra añejo. How cool is this? This is just, whatever. Really, literally, whatever it is that turns you on. If you're a Blanco guy, you can go to the or gal, you can go to the Blanco. If you're a dyed-in-the-wool reposado person and that's what you base all your tequilas on, you will not be sorry with the repo. If it's the añejo, it's a surprising añejo, and this extra añejo, this is the one. This is your nightcap again. Like I may have said before in the past. This would be the nightcap or with the cigar. Lovely stuff. Holy cow, man. I just can't say enough. It's been fun with the really nice glassware, too, because we've been able to compare and contrast some of the stuff that we're pulling out. And, Felipe is probably scratching his head going, I never intended for that to happen. But, but that's what we're getting. That's our, that's why we call it sipping off the cuff. You've been watching Sipping Off the Cuff. This has been a lovely trip through G4 and El Pandillo. Felipe Camarena, look for a big rollout nationwide somewhere before the end of the year. I'm not exactly sure. The people that got this to us is the PR company for G4. So I'm hoping that they're going to launch it properly, like it should always have been launched. That it gets the attention that Pasote has gotten and that Peralta is getting now. I think that would be very gratifying for him and for us. You mentioned off camera too, Rick. This was originally a Mexican brand, right? This was exclusively in Mexico.
This was one of the first tequilas he started producing at El Pandillo. The G4 brand was the first of the three lines that hit the nom lists at the CRT, and that was back in November 2012. The
Wow.
G4 started appearing for sale in Mexico, I believe, sometime in 2014. And, you know, that started as just the Blanco. And so I assume, you know, he was selling some stuff as he was getting the distillery up and running.
Right.
And then when he had the full line ready, that's when he was ready to export. But, you know, everything else hit the nom lists in 2016. Like Peralta was November 2016, Pasote February 2016. Even the Artenom Blanco was May 2016. And then all of those started showing up in the U.S. in 2016.
Wow. You know, for the length of time that he's been on the market. Now, for those of you who know of Felipe Camarena, you know that he had a previous tequila called Trago. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Some of you out there watching or hearing us probably know more about that story. The brand has disappeared, but it made a name for Felipe. I mean, people who still look for that bottle and can find it, it's a treasure bottle because the juice inside was amazing. I mean, there are people screaming about that, about Trago. I was living in New Mexico. I couldn't, not only could I not get it until it was out there, but then I couldn't afford it, you know. I think that's where he made a name for himself. But what he's done with these three in a short amount of time, you know, 3 different lines, 3 different importers, and you know, like
and
within
3 different profiles.
yeah, well, more than that. I mean, if you look at the expressions have all these their own personalities. They really do.
Yeah.
And I think G4, as we said, if you're going to introduce somebody to Felipe Camarena, this is the line to do it with. And then, you know, if you want to branch out, you feel more adventuresome, you go to Terralta, or you know, you want to find something really on the weird side, you go to Pasote, or you know, whatever. But this is the one you shake hands with, and if you can find it for those prices that Rick mentioned, get them, because it isn't going to last much longer. Let me tell you. Not if we have anything to say about it. That's our take on G4 from Felipe Camarena here on Sipping Off the Cuff. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That man over there is
Rick Levy in San Diego.
And the reason for all this is so that ustedes pueden tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.